What's up, guys? This is Bobby W6IWN. I'm in for a little treat today. We're over here at Chameleon Antennas in Sparks, Nevada. And them and a couple doors down, him and HIFI got together and they're throwing a little event with the local club, SNARS, here in Nevada Amateur Radio Society. There'll be a pretty nice history lesson from Dawn and Chameleon on ham radio history. Also a raffle giveaway and some other fun stuff, so stay tuned.
Here you go. Everybody hear me okay?
Terrific.
Okay. Yeah, I want to welcome you all to the first pancake breakfast. I'm surprised how many did show up, but I guess free food brings everybody out. And I talked to the catering company and I said, if they're good boys, we can give them an extra bacon next year, get 3 pieces. But the way bacon costs, it may be 1 piece. So anyways, as a lot of you know, I love the history of radio. My younger years was all operating and DXing, but now I like getting into the nuts and bolts of the history of communications in this country and the world. And fascinating time, 1925 to 1930. Probably more changes went on those dates than any other time. Now, most people know when I talk, I'll jump around dates, I'll jump around subjects, and just bear with me. I'm like Joe Biden, my mind sometimes goes to a little blank. But the years 1925, 1930 saw a lot of the ARRL involved in a lot of different government agencies, overseas. You don't realize how important our organization was to the world of communications. And I'll get into it a little bit. And we got to be very thankful for people like Hiram Percy Maximum and Don Mix and there's a whole bunch of early time guys in there. W1MK, his call was the first call before 1AW. That got us to where we are today. We really started as an organization and getting licensed in 1912. The Commerce Department, because of all the confusion on the bands, with everybody jumping on top of everybody else with spot gap and interference, and some people were jamming. I mean, it was a mess. The bands weren't defined. Everything from 200 meters on down was where everything was for transmission. So in 1912, the Commerce Department got into it. They started licensing hams, and the first ham you saw in the newsletter was W1ZE. Back then it was 1ZE. He's had multiple calls. But we had rules and regulations. They worked until 1927 when the Federal Radio Commission was put into effect by President Calvin Coolidge. And that lasted until the 1934 Communications Act and the FCC, as we know today, came into effect. But during the 1920s, I'll start at around 1923. There were a lot of expeditions going around the world for some damn reason. There's a guy named Don, what the hell was his last name?
Sherman.
No. There were 3 Dons there, and I got them all confused sometimes. Anyways, he had a boat called the Baldwin, and it was a wooden schooner, and he had already made 8 trips to the Arctic trying to get to the North Pole. And one of the problems was they weren't worried about the weather and the temperatures and all that. It was the loneliness, being stuck on a ship trapped in ice till the next spring when they could get the hell out of there. And so before his last trip, or his next trip in 1923, he asked the Navy, the government, National Geographic, all sorts of people, who do you recommend us to talk to put a radio station together? Well, they came to the League. Everybody recommended going to the League. Well, at the League at the time, Our traffic controller was a guy named Fred Snell, and he handled all the traffic. And Percy Maximum met with the owner of the ship there, the captain, and said, "Take Fred with you, he'll go." So Zenith donated a complete transmitter receiver system, and they took it up in the Arctic, and they were frozen in the winter of 23 and 24 up in Greenland. And they, once a week, they did contacts back with the States and Canada, whoever picked them up. It went on the wire service, it went in the newspapers what they were doing, and everybody around the country followed what they were doing. Well, when they got back in 1924 in September, the whole radio industry had changed on them. Superheterodynes were coming more into effect. Tubes were being used more and more, and their spot gap, at 200 meters, was gradually being phased out. They had, let me jump around a little bit. In the late 20s, they had all sorts of conferences in Europe, in Spain, and Germany, and Great Britain. And we sent representatives over, not only from the government, but from the ARRL. We were lucky the government depended on us to know what's going on with radio. And so we were able to get into these conferences at all these other countries. And finally in 1927, they broke out the call letters for the different countries, a lot of the regulations. Since the ARRL and Percy Maxim, they all considered him and his team leaders. So a lot of these other countries followed what we were doing as far as setting up their own organizations. Of course, a lot of these countries set up their own frequencies they'd operate on, a little different than what we had, but most of them were pretty on the same parallel where we could talk to other countries around the world, like on 20 and 40 meters. 15 wasn't around then. The walk bands weren't around then. But one of the funny things jumping back is back around 1919, after the war, the Navy Department wanted to control all of communications. They didn't want hams out there. And we were lucky enough to have some Congress people and some powerful people in the nation that were hams that pushed it through that, no, you got to have hams out there. Well, the government, the Navy Department thought they were smarter than us. They said, all right, we'll give them everything above 200 meters, and we'll take 200 meters for medium wave and very low frequency, and they can have all these other frequencies up above 160 meters all the way up, because we can't communicate with that way. And all of a sudden, the hams started experimenting on 40 meters, 20 meters, and 10 meters, and said, hey, God, we can transmit all over the world. The government and the Navy is stuck down there on their ships at 200 meters, 250 meters on down. So jumping up into 1925, the Navy Department said, listen, the amateurs are able to operate all over. We're stuck on our ships with 200 meters, 225, 250 meters, and we're almost a couple of hundred miles is all we get out. Our ship's way out in the ocean, can't contact stateside. And so what they did is the Navy Department came down to the League, and the League gave them a guy named Don Mix. 1TS was his call at the time. And they took him on board, made him a temporary lieutenant, and he went on a whole convoy of U.S. military ships all over the Pacific and down to Australia. So they had a contest. They were trying, the Navy was saying, well, we got the 200 meter stuff, we'll see how we get back to the States. He's operating on 40 and 20 meters, had no problem getting back to the States. So by the time they got back to the States, the Navy Department says, all right, we're going to bring in ham radio operators as reservists, and they are going to be given ranks. So if you had your commercial license and your ham Class A license or Class B license, they gave you a rank, like Chief Radio Operator. He would have the commercial license and the top ranked ham license. And all the way down, if you just had your beginner's license, they give you, a seaman apprentice. Well, that was the Naval Reserve. They put them on ships for summer duty, and they were training radio operators throughout the Navy. The Army did the exact opposite. The Army came in with the Army Amateur Radio Service, and they didn't force anybody to get in the Army. What they did was ask for volunteers, and this is the precursor to the Mars operation. And so because back then we didn't have an interstate highway system, we didn't have phone service in a lot of areas of the country. So you had disasters like fires and floods and tornadoes and what have you, hurricanes, and there was a lack of communications. So they were relying on hams. So the Army set up these groups of hams throughout the country in different areas, and they were acting as like the Mars operators do nowadays. And they set up nets, and they all reported to Washington at some point in time. But they went through training, and that's how that came about. In 1927, they had a world conference, I believe it was over in Spain, and they said from now on, no new spot gap transmitters will be licensed, and the cutoff date is 1929. So up through those years, you had spot gap. In 1934, spot gap was completely out, except for emergencies. I don't know why you would use spot gap on emergency. 2007, I don't know if a lot of people know this, the FCC put a law in, if you are caught broadcasting with spot gap, it's a felony. And so the conferences that were held overseas, it's not like you can get on a plane back then and 5 hours later you're in Spain or in Germany. They had to take a ship over for 2 weeks, then get trains all over Europe. And so when they went to these conferences, they tried to get as much work done as possible. And some of the things that they relied on, the Europeans relied on, was our expertise as hams over here to build their own communications operations over in their own countries. And I find it fascinating how much the League, as I said in the beginning, was involved in the military, the government, international communications regulations, and setting up their ARRL equivalents around the world. I mean, we've got to take our hats off to the early people that had the brain power to put this organization together. And a lot of people don't like the League. A lot of people don't even know who the League is, but I really stress we need to support them. We don't want the League to go out the way CQ magazine is going out of business. Okay. The League is our only backbone on working with the government and pushing our agenda through. And we have nobody else working for us. So, one of the things that happened 1925 to 1930 was excursions. I could not believe there's books and books written about all these different groups going down to Antarctica, going up to the Arctic, going through the islands in the South Pacific, going through South America, going through Africa, because now they had communications. And that was a big, big plus. And there's like I said, all sorts of books on this stuff. If you want to get a good book from the League, you want to read a book 200 meters and below. And it was written in the early 1930s, and it's got all the descriptions from the start of the 1900s all the way up to the 1930s about communications, amateur radio, and how things were being done. It was funny. I don't know if any of you remember the name Big Bill Thompson. He was the mayor of Chicago during Capone's day. He was so corrupt it was unbelievable. But like our idiots nowadays, they voted him back in. And when he got out of office, he had a big yacht, and he went on a 2-year cruise, and he brought hams on board to be his radio operators. A lot of your pleasure boats, the very wealthy, brought hams on board. A lot of your blimps, for instance, the Shenandoah was one of our big airships. We had a ham operator up there running the radio station up there, even though it crashed and burned. But then Perry And a lot of people like Admiral Perry put radios in planes. They had them shipboard. The spot gap days were winding down. Tubes were coming into more use. Tube prices were coming down. Components were coming down. After the 1920s, or I should say at 1920 on forward, a lot of your commercial companies like RCA, Crosley, Atwater Kent, their radios were on the 200 meter bands on down. Now, with all the bands being defined in 1927, you find a lot of the radios were coming out with the short wave bands now on them. So you had the medium wave, you had long wave, and you had short wave. And that created a big industry for the radio industry. Another thing I found fascinating is during the Depression, because people were stuck at home, amateurs were getting more and more into the amateur marketplace because prices had come down on equipment. By that time you had people like Hallicrafters and Hammerlin and National and companies we've never even heard of. There were over 200 radio companies making radios of some sort in the late 20s. A lot of them disappeared during the Depression. A lot of them bought somebody else out. And what was nice about it is that now the general public could listen at home. I don't know if you remember some of the old pictures of the old radio ads where you got some kids laying on the floor looking up at the radio and you can see the glow of the radio, listening to the old programs that were coming on. The other side of it was, in the beginning, only rich companies could afford having a broadcast station. For instance, in Rhode Island, where I grew up, we had Cherry and Webb, WPRO. Cherry and Webb was a big retail store. We had the outlet company, WEAN. That was a big outlet store. A big shopping store. So hotels were another one. I remember as a kid in the early 50s, our Cub Scout troop went to the Sheraton, the Biltmore Hotel, and they had a radio broadcast booth there, and they interviewed all our little Cub Scouts there. And gradually, it got so crowded on the bands. One of the reasons why 1927 they changed it to the FRS commission was to designate where you could be allotted your frequency. A lot of people didn't realize that the AM broadcast, back then they didn't realize it. AM broadcast during the day was a couple of 100 miles. At night, it expanded out. It went from the D atmosphere up to the F atmosphere, and the skip came in. And like I listen to KNX a lot of times from LA at night. I love listening to it. But what was happening is all these big stations, these big transmitters, you had a station in LA on 1220, you had a station up here at 1220. Well, at nighttime, they were jamming each other. So there was a constant fight, constant moving around of frequencies for the broadcast industry. The military tried to get more and more of the frequencies away from us. And so during 1927 through 29, it was divided out. What they would cover, what we would cover, what international shortwave would cover. But as you know, you can get on 40 meters this morning. When I first got here, the stations I was hearing, it was Japanese stations on the broadcast band on 40 meters. So there's still overlap quite a bit. The industry during the Depression, what was interesting, a lot of people stuck at home became hammer operators. And they changed the licensing to a 3-year term. It was misleading when you look at the statistics back then because, oh geez, it's growing like crazy. Well, what it was, somebody may have had a license for 1 year, said, hell, I don't like the hobby, can't afford it, don't want to do it. But his license still showed up for 3 years on the statistics. Another thing people don't realize is during that time, if you wanted to go portable, you had to get a separate license. So that was added in. So everybody said, oh geez, we've got 50,000 hams in the United States. Well, maybe 5,000 of them were portable licenses. maybe another 5,000 were people that weren't interested anymore, but they still had their license. So take it with a grain of salt when you look at the figures back in the early 30s, late 20s of how many hams there were. I'm trying to think of if I'm forgetting anything else I wanted to say on it. I know I will bring something up in a minute. Is there any questions on what I said so far? Well, I can rewind the tape. So, yeah.
So, how long you been a ham?
63 years. Well, what's interesting with our hobby is probably the only hobby in the world you can be 8 or 80, and there's something in there for all of you. You can't do that with any other hobby, maybe stamp collecting or coin collecting or something like that. There's an interest. Our hobby is so diversified. You want digital modes, you want CW, you want sideband, you want rag chewing.
You want to eyeball QSO?
There's so many different facets. You want to write articles, you want to experiment. There's a million different things you can do with our hobby. And the biggest thing again is supporting the league, because without the league we wouldn't all be sitting here right now. And the other thing I find more fascinating is when I was a kid, my father was a radio man on B-24s during World War II, and he got me into radio, little crystal sets, and at Christmas time little electronic sets to put together and what have you. As a Boy Scout, I started learning CW. Back then they did it in groups, TISH, I'm sorry, TMO, EISH. So you learn the groups, so that's how you learn the code in the Boy Scouts. Well, come to find out, one of the guys my father went to high school with, Merrill Budlong, W1MB, was a big ham operator, about a mile from my house. And my father called him up and said, oh yeah, send him over. Well, he ran the D. Malay chapter of the radio club that we had, K1NQG. And he also was a member of the Civil Air Patrol. He was a major in the Civil Air Patrol, so he had an old World War II 2-meter rig sitting there on his desk. And he built a lot of his own equipment. He was licensed back in the 40s. And before he'd let us take our novice license, we had a whole bunch of kids in there. We had learned how to solder. We knew what components were. He made us build a power supply, and that's, some of you people know my old story where we used to take my little wagon down to the TV repair shop down in Patuxent, Rhode Island, and he'd let me sweep up the floors, and he'd give me these old TV chassis. I'd take them home, take the transformers off, take the capacitors off, and started learning how to build power supplies, and not electrocute myself. And so that was the old days with Elmas. They really got in there and helped you do stuff. Nowadays, it's YouTube. YouTube's your Elma nowadays. And it's a shame because it's a part of our hobby that's very, very important. I was telling some of the people here this morning, we get phone calls from guys that buy our antennas, and first thing they do when they get their license, and it's not to knock them, it's just that they don't know. It's new to the hobby. It's like, hey, I want a race car and I got money. I'm going to go buy a Ferrari. You know, keep it simple, stupid. I recommend when somebody buys a new piece, becomes a ham, you may not like it in 6 months. You may be afraid to get on the microphone. Like Ethan that owns Ham and HIFI. He's never been on the air. I'll hand him a mic, he won't get on it. But keep it simple. Buy the simple rig. You may not like it. You can always trade up. Find somebody that knows what they're doing that can sit there and help you. Like I said, we have people call up and say, well, where do you put the coax in the back of the radio? Or, you know, I want to do this, this, and this. And I said, you can't. Well, how come in the morning, if I'm on 160 meters, I don't hear anything? I said, the band is dead. Well, what do you mean by that? Your antenna doesn't work. You know, you have to explain it. And poor John gets these calls all day long. And that's why we need a mentoring program. And that's so important. Any other questions? Yeah.
I just have one. In your study of old amateur radio, Are there any particular brands or any particular radio that just fascinate you, or any particular radio line that you just love?
Yeah, the thing of it is that when I was a kid, I couldn't afford any of that stuff. And nowadays, you know, I spent 8 years with Ethan repairing this stuff for the Hammond Hi-Fi. I saw stuff that I only cried about in bed, which with the flashlight under the covers, read the old Allied radio catalogs and the old handbooks. You know, at night they were trying to say, God, I wish I had money for that. I wish I had money for that. And it's just fascinating. Of course, I love the Collins gear, the Collins S-Line. You know, I mean, if I had to go back to 2 gear right now, I'd go back to the Collins gear because it's easy to work on. It works, it's stable, and it's a simple rig. They don't have all the knobs. The problem we have nowadays with a lot of the equipment, the big stuff, they've got stuff in there that you'll never use in a million years. They got a million knobs on it. God forbid you gotta fix it. Shipping a 70-pound rig back to the factory costs you a fortune. You may not see it back for months and months and months. So, but my old philosophy is keep it simple, stupid. And a lot of the old rigs that I like using. What, do you want me to stop?
What do you think? What do you guys think? Was he great? Do you want him to continue, or are we done? Want more right now?
No, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, no, just wrap it up. We're good. It's great. Just wrap her up.
Will this video be on the website?
I think so. Who's shooting the video? Bobby. Yeah, we'll get it on YouTube. Yeah.
All right, the audience has spoken. I've got to sit down or close off 73s. But anyways, anytime you guys have any questions or you're looking for old equipment or you know want help or anything, just give a shout. And more than happy to help you out and, as best I can. There's a lot of people out here know a hell of a lot more than I do and have a lot more background. Yes, sir.
I have a 1930 Model A. Can you give me a positive ground HF rig?
Yes, I can. And it's Russian. So, wise ass.
I had the positive ground card. I switched it to negative ground just so I could remember.
All right, thanks for being a good audience. I'm glad you're here. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Don. You know, Don started doing some of these talks over the years about some of the history. It's just so fascinating. Thank you very much, Don. Let's see, Tony, you want to point to the box where yeah. So we have a whole bunch of different free giveaway on the left side there of books. This one I'm going to take, The Complete DXer. I need to learn about DX. And this one I like, Classic Antennas. So go check out, somebody donated these to the club. Check out some of the stuff on there on the left. There's some cool stuff. There's a handbook from 2008. There's a handbook from 19, gosh knows what. I want to say 40 something, and there's something older in there. I don't know what it is. So go check it out. We get donations from different people. Stuff like this, we just give it away. As we all know, I think we all know, the overall age of the hams is, you know, going that way, and since we lost some this last year. So sometimes we hit silent keys, and we want to get the gear to other people and stuff. Okay, raffles.
Let people know that all the stuff, anything we have is up for sale.
Okay, we're going to talk about that first. So then we'll do the raffle. Come up, John, and tell us a little bit about what Chameleon is offering today, and then I want to hear, is Hammond Hi-Fi open today or no? No, it's just Chameleon. So this is our friend John, which you all know, John Miller, N7JDM, also known as one of the Chameleon guys. So tell us what's going on today, John.
Okay, well again, thanks on behalf of Chameleon, all of y'all that came out today. Really appreciate seeing y'all. We got very lucky with the weather. We have a great day here, so thank y'all very much. We are running a special today on everything we sell. It's 20% off. So we have the order form over here. If anybody wants anything, come on up and talk about it. If you have any questions about our antennas, come see me about that, and I can, if I don't know the answer, I'll make up something that sounds plausible. Okay, so that's how I usually operate. So anyway, thanks again for everybody coming in. Did everybody, well, maybe I should say, who did not get a raffle ticket?
I didn't, but is this from Chameleon or is this from?
This is from Chameleon, yes.
So does the board?
You can have one.
Is the
You
board,
can,
board
you
entitled?
can have one.
One, okay. Who else didn't get a ticket? Raise
Yeah,
their
if
hand.
anybody didn't get one that wants one, come on up and grab one. Otherwise, we will not call your number.
Anybody else didn't need a ticket? Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to that here in a minute. So, does anybody have any questions for me about Chameleon Antenna?
Tell us the history of
Oh, everybody's pretty quiet.
it. Do you know the history of it?
They've already heard.
John, why don't you talk a little bit about what you have set up?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So we have a couple of things. Over on the far right
You
there.
can walk over there. We have cable.
Over there's what we call a TDL, Tactical Delta Loop, right there. When mounted at ground level, that's a very good invis antenna, and it's simple to set up. If you elevate it, then it can do so there's a few different things you can do with it. You can also use a single element with it to make it work. That's even easier to set up. SOTA, field day, something to keep in the vehicle, something that's set and ready to go whenever you need it. It's a good antenna. Next to it is our receive loop antenna. That's a very sensitive receive-only loop antenna for those who are shortwave listeners, or especially if you have a secondary input to the radio, then that makes a good option for receive. And our new coil antenna that we just released is sitting right down here, and that is a manually tuned coil type antenna. You can get the coil by itself. You can buy it as a couple of different kits. And basically it's a manually tuned screwdriver type antenna. So we just hit the market with that, and that's proven to be pretty popular so far. So I'm very happy about that. Over here is an experiment that we're working with. Another one of our hybrid units with the radial system, so that we can elevate it and turn it into an elevated vertical. We're experimenting with that system right now. We're going to see how that works. Probably would be better with a taller whip, but that's what we grabbed just to show off today. And so that's maybe something coming soon. So
Talk about this cool pole that goes up in there.
yeah, so that's a fiberglass mast. This one here is a 12.5-foot mast that we made a deal on from one of our vendors, and so get those while we have them. And that makes a nice short portable antenna for quick deployments, which obviously we're a portable antenna company, so we'd like to have things that are easy and quick to set up. Feel free to come up and take a look at all of it. Yeah, Steve? The catalog is called the Internet. Catalog of Internet. So we don't have a paper catalog.
Give the URL.
Yeah, it's chameleonantenna.com.
And then click print.
Yeah. Click buy now on every page. Okay. Yeah. Over here on Don's pickup is a new item for us, the telescoping portamast. Truck not included. So, and we have 3 versions of that. There's a 15, a 20, and a 25 footer. And we also have a selection of mounts that go for it. Don's using the wheel mount right now. There's a hitch mount. Over here is a more permanent mount. And then we have a couple of versions of that as well. So again, I'm happy to answer questions about anything. Yes, ma'am.
Do you sell out of your store here or just on the internet?
Today we're selling out of the store. Okay. Normally we're not open to the public. We don't have don't have an easy way to run credit cards, but we can do it for a deal like today. So we do sell direct. HRO, DX Engineering, Gigaparts, 3 main dealers in the country sell a lot of our stuff, so you can buy from whoever you want to. As long as you buy one of ours, we're happy. Okay.
And 20% off the state. 20% off the state, no shipping.
Yeah, that's true. You are paying sales tax today, but there's no shipping. Okay, if you take it with you today, and
20% is a big deal.
and it's 20% off, so that's a nice little chunk away. So, okay. that's all I got. So I'll be around. So come up and bother me if you like.
Hey, John, let's do a quick poll. How many people would come to this again if it was something similar? Breakfast, great weather, say next year. Okay, more shade. And out of curiosity, because to put your hands down, weather changes, as you know. What do you think about early September? Okay, and then put your hand down. What do you think about like this weekend next year? Okay, about 50-50. It all depends. I usually do the California QSO party, which is this weekend, and over the years, that first weekend, in this case it's the first full weekend, that first week the weather just gets really goofy, so we lucked out today. Okay, we're going to do a raffle. Does anybody still need a raffle ticket? Everybody's got a raffle ticket. Do you know what we're raffling away here? Your camera?
Well, we need more tickets for that.
Okay, do we know what we're raffling away, or do we need the help from Don? Okay.
That was Don's idea.
All these antennas right here, right?
Easy now. Easy now.
All the antennas.
Okay, hold on a minute. I'll find out.
So, I'll just mention that we were, where were we? I think we were doing an event, an outdoor event, somewhere, SNARS, and I was on the air, and we were on the air, and we said we were doing a Chameleon antenna, and a lot of people know Chameleon, so that's a good thing. It's quick deployment, and how lucky is it that we have it here in Sparks, and that they support the club, so really, really cool. Okay, while we're waiting for that, any questions that I can answer? SNARS questions? Okay, let's see, what else? What are we missing, Tony? What do we want to say while we're waiting for anything? Nothing. Get on the air, have fun, talk to each other. Bring more people, it's all about Elmering, right? Elmering, mentoring, helping people. 50 years of hamming in Jane, I'll get to you in 1 second, Roz. 50 years of hamming, a lot of what I learned was from Elmering, from other people, and figuring out stuff and helping. Roz, you got a question?
Yeah, what are you using software for?
Okay, the question is, what am I using for software for Nevada QSO Party? So I'm using N1MM software. It's free. It's fairly easy to use, and if you need a little help setting it up, you can contact me. Jim, can they contact you? Yeah. It's really easy to use. There's a little setup to do. And for the Nevada QSO Party, what's the exchange for us, Jim?
Here in Washoe County, it'll be 5.9.
599.
Depends if it's 5.9 for phone or 5.99 for CW or digital.
5.9 NVWAS.
Okay, NV and 3 letters for the county for WAS.
On the website,
Okay, so on the website has all the counties listed. Now, thank you, Jim. On the right side, if you're on a desktop or a laptop, on the left you have one thing, on the right you have another. If it's on a mobile device, it's above and below. But on the left side right now it says California QSO Party. On the right side it says Nevada, which is next week. I talked with Eric. We're going to pull the left side off in the beginning of the week, and we're going to put that little map of the counties. And we're going to have a place where you can click to activate the county. So we're trying to get the word out. And if I'm correct, and help me with this, Jim, I think each year since you've been doing it, it just keeps growing, right? A little more each time. And that's getting the word out. Nevada is not a very big state as far as ham radio operators. So that's why getting the word out, bringing it up, having fun. It doesn't matter how much you get on, it's getting on. And if you need help, ask us. Now, let me just mention, what is today?
Saturday.
Oh, it's next week. So that means the Saturday. It means next weekend is the Nevada QSO Party, and the following Monday is the ham radio night. So that will be after it. So if you need any help, email. Is it okay to give your email, Jim? What is it? NVJIMS at Gmail? At Gmail. NVJIMS, J-I-M-S at Gmail. Mine is K6ST@ARRL.net. And if you can't remember any of those, just SNARS at SNARS.org. I need help with. Send it out, and one of us will get back to you. That answered that question. Are we ready or not?
Almost keep
Then I'm going to keep jabbering. What else do you want to know? Amy. And when am I? Okay, so Amy said, how do you, basically translation, how do you get the radio, I see if I'm right, how do you get the radio to talk to the computer?
Well, I did. That wasn't my question.
Oh, what's your question?
It isn't now. I just didn't do it. Got to deal with that thing. But isn't there a drop-down menu where you can plug in your QSO party formatted?
Pre-formatted what?
Like you can pick from Texas QSO party.
Yes, so on the N1MM, which is a contest software, is for contesting. Okay, so you say new login database. So this is a new log. And for the QSO parties, you pick the option called QSO party. And then under there, there's another one, and you scroll down to Nevada. It's for any of the QSO parties, it's a two-step process. Opposed to if you went field day or you want CQ worldwide, it's a single. So it's the second one down. So you say QSO party, and then you do that. Okay, I just want to go back to this question because I get this a lot. How do you hook up the radio to the computer if you have a radio that has the CAT control? You physically you got to get a cable that goes from the radio to the computer. So the newer ones, like I have an ICOM 7300, it's just a plain old USB cable. Now for mine, I get RFI. My system, my antenna is like the distance from me to this right here, because I'm in a balcony. But so get RF in there. But you got to physically connect it. On some of the old radios, there's other kind of interfaces. Then in the N1MM software, you go to the first one, file configuration, and the first one says, what radio, and you tell it the kind of radio, and you tell it the baud rate. And then it talks. So once you get it all hooked up, when you spin the dial, let's say you're in 20 meters, and you spin the dial, you'll see it move on top of the, it has the frequency on top. If for some reason you can't get it working, or you're on an older radio that doesn't have a computer interface, no problem. You just go into the call sign and you type the frequency. So if I didn't have my computer turned on or connected, I would through the CAT control, I would just say 21,272. And well, if they're general, it's above 275, 21,290, and it brings it up there. And the reality is, for the contest, you only need to be in the band. You don't have to be. It doesn't have to track you. So there's all sorts of cool ways. Are you ready?
whatever you are.
We're ready. Okay. What other questions for SNARS or anything? Okay. Let's see here. What are we giving away?
We're going to give away everything on the table.
Okay, so we're giving away John. Are we giving away a loop, or is this just an advertisement?
Last, okay.
Are we giving away a loop, or is this an advertisement?
No, we're showing that off. We're just showing.
Okay, so tell us what we have here. What is this?
So we've got a couple of QRP antennas here. We've got a 40 through 10 in-fed. We've got a 40 through 10 off-center fed dipole. We've got some accessories. We got some swag here, and we're going to give it all away. So we're going to start right now. Barry, you wanted to give me the first ticket?
I can't because mine's in there. So, Don?
I'll do it.
Okay.
That wouldn't be fair.
Tell me what the thing of pancakes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to give away a pan of pancakes, too. So.
Leftover pancakes.
Okay, winner, excuse me. Last three digits is 742. And that's going to be for the bongo ties. We're going to start with something cheap. Oh, okay. Way to go, Doug.
I can use those actually.
Okay, good. There you go. Thank you. All right.
I think you mean inexpensive, not cheap, correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Gotta get the right
Give me another one, Don.
Next.
Whoever put the one with the paper clip in, we're throwing that one out, okay? Just so you know. Okay, of course it is.
What are we giving away?
Okay, this is going to be for a pack of winders so you can keep your wires straight.
Good.
Last 3 digits is 727. 727.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
lefty. Perfect.
Tangled up in there.
There you
Hey,
go.
lefty.
All right. Very good. There you go, sir. Thanks.
You
All
came
right.
out of Smith Valley, is that right?
Yes.
Today? Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
I
Thank you.
left earlier than you. I heard you on the radio.
There we go. Okay, what else we got?
Thanks for coming out. I appreciate you driving all the way up. Alrighty.
What are we giving away?
Let's see here. Let's give away this little wire winder right here. These are great for rolling up a length of wire.
Ooh.
Last 3 digits. 760. 760. There we go. We got a winner.
Hey, Joe. So Joe moved from
Thank you, sir.
Fresno area up here about a year ago or so, and he's a POTA guy.
Cool.
Welcome.
Okay. So now we'll give away something that's cool. Here's the 10 through 40 off-center fed dipole antenna.
Nice. Survey says.
Last 3 digits, 727.
Oh.
727. 727. No, don't listen to me.
What was the other number?
726.
Oh,
726. Sorry, 726.
Then nobody's left, have they?
One guy left.
726.
It was Tony who just put it back in.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll set it aside.
We already gave them one.
Yeah,
Gave
he's already
one
got
already, huh? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Next.
Okay,
Yes?
I'm a product of public education, so yeah.
Or new glasses.
That too. New glasses would help. This is again for the antenna here. 746. 746. There we go.
Yay! Ralph.
All right.
Ralph. No.
Get all these.
Yeah.
No. Very good. Alrighty.
You want to do some of those? Those are cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Here. Okay, we've also got some books here. Tube type transmitters from 1920 to 1980. So we're going to give those away too.
There's a lot of history in these books.
Just plug it in a 110 and see it glow.
Yeah. Okay, we'll give one of those away next. The winner is 739er. 739er.
Yay, Mike or Mark.
All right.
Let me put that name on it.
Okay, that's all right.
Anybody I know?
Okay, let's give away a hat.
A hat.
Let's give away a hat. Everybody needs a hat. I see some bald heads out there. Okay.
Who's speaking?
Yeah. 720.
Oh,
720 gets a hat.
There you go, right here. I'll be an advertisement for you.
Okay, good deal. Thanks, Barry.
What do you think?
Takes 10 minutes right off of you. Yes, it looks good. So.
Or I could go this way. What do you think of that way? Any better?
Yep, that's you. That's you right there, Barry.
I better put the Chameleon on quickly.
All right. Okay, we've got a do-it-yourself radio kit here, so you can make your own radio kit if you like, right here. And the winner for that one is 751. 751.
751 right here.
Where'd you get that?
From there. Draw another one.
Somebody put their ticket in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Draw another one.
They shouldn't be on radio.
No, they shouldn't be. Those whoever that was shouldn't be on radio. Okay. For the radio kit, 734. 734. The winner is 734. Going once. 734. Going twice.
I heard a whoa.
Come on, Peter.
I heard a whoa. And nobody said they haven't won anything yet.
Okay, thanks.
752.
752. Okay. All right. Let's see here. We're going to give away another book. There. Tube type transmitters. Everybody needs it. This one is 752. 752. Not everybody at once now, okay?
Maybe it's a dot.
752. Going once. Going twice. 752. Going a third time. Okay.
Next.
Okay, same book, different ticket. 735. 735. There comes somebody. Thank you very much. Okay. Alrighty, so we're going to give away a desert hat. Save this till spring. Okay. 723. 723. Here it comes. Eric's got it. Thank you, Eric. Okay, now we're going to give away a counterpoise kit. This one's already made up, okay? The winner for this one is 747. 747. Here you go, Tom's got it. Thanks, Tom. All right, mighty good, mighty good. Okay, here's a t-shirt. This one happens to be a 3X. If you don't wear a 3X, we might have another size for you. So, okay, 730 wins the t-shirt. 730. Okay. Don't think he needs a 3X.
He can use it for a bed.
Yeah.
We don't have any 2X left.
Okay. He's probably.
I'm going to get him a different one.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Congratulations, Derek. You've got room to grow now, okay?
I got rid of it.
Well, you can use it when you're up on the hills.
There you go.
Hey.
730 right there. Okay. Okay, another hat.
Another hat.
728 wins a hat. 728 wins a hat. There we go.
Hey, Roz.
This is the better desert hat.
Yeah. Now, just the same. I'll take your ticket. Thank you very much. Enjoy the hat. Wear it frequently, please.
Okay, is this the final one?
This is the last one right here. This is going to be for the 4010 infed here.
So before you do, let me just say one thing.
Okay.
Because everybody's going to read, right?
Probably.
The NFED is a very cool thing. For those that run SOTA or FOTA, it's summits on the air or parks on the air, what you do is you take a pole like this or a push-up mast and you just put it up and you just run this NFED and they work incredible. You can ask myself or Derek or Brian or whoever has it. So easy to deploy, and this is the final gift. Thanks again. Oh, I'm going to read it. It's my number, 732. Oh, Brian, yay! Okay, thanks everybody. What a great day, huh? I didn't know that we were ended doing such a cool meeting, and thank you for everybody coming. What a great thing. Stick around, have some coffee donuts, check out the prizes, and we'll see you at the next meeting, which is going to be November the 2nd for the SNARS meeting. 73. This is K6ST clear.